I've played a lot of Pokemon games in my life, but none more than Pokemon Emerald. So when I sat down to Nuzlocke, my childhood Pokemon game, I wanted a fresh experience. Try and recapture that wonder I had when I first booted up my Game Boy. Enter Pokemon Ephemerald, a Pokemon RomHack that introduces over 300 new regional forms for the first 3 generations of Pokemon. Everything familiar is now slightly different. Every trainer has a new team, every route has new encounters, and every Pokemon has new typings and designs. But oh boy, I was not prepared for how difficult this blind Nuzlocke would be. We're using the typical rule set for a Nuzlocke. If a Pokemon faints, they're kaput, and we get 1 Pokemon per route. So, with that being said, come with me, and let's return to the Hoenn region. We begin our journey in the back of a familiar truck. Our deadbeat dad is absent, but that doesn't stop us from meeting our neighbor and rescuing Professor Birch. This is the moment we're waiting for. We get to choose our starter Pokemon. We have our choice between a rock-type Trico, a flying-type Torchic, and a fighting-type Mudkip. The idea of a pure flying-type intrigues me, so I go with Torchic, and I name them Crow after one of my subscribers. All of the Pokemon in this Nuzlocke are named after random subscribers and commenters, so if you do want to be in the next video, make sure to comment your name down below and subscribe to the channel. As we make our way up to fight with our rival, we encounter some of the Pokemon in Route 1, like a Ledybug and Elekid. At first, it's really cool to see the new designs, even if I don't have Pokeballs to catch any yet, but slowly I begin to realize how scary this Nuzlocke will be. Usually when I do blind Nuzlockes, even if I don't know the game, I still know what Pokemon they are. If they send out a Charizard, I know that's a fire flying type, but now I have to relearn all of these typings and Pokemons from scratch. So every single trainer Pokemon is a mystery that I have to rediscover and learn. But after fighting a bunch of Route 1 critters, we're ready to take on our rival. In this game, they get both starters we didn't choose. Crow takes care of their Mudkip pretty easily since we have type advantage, but their Trico was a bit more difficult. But surprisingly, it was too afraid to even attack us, so nonetheless we prevail and we actually get to catch Pokemon now. Our first encounter is a pure Ice-type Weedle we named Radar. I also want to take this time to mention that the devs have added grass encounters to every single town and city so that we can catch more Pokemon, including a Psychic normal Chinchou named Jeremy, as well as a ground electric Tailo named Tech, and I love them. So far, none of these trainer battles have been particularly difficult, but that's mostly because Crow is getting stupidly overleveled. And if we weren't blessed enough by our team, our route encounter ended up being a pure normal type Ralts named Shoku. They look like a little monk or friar, so please be kind to them. We also get a grass type Wingull named Sky and a glorious surfing Delibird named Tank. After visiting Mr. Deadbeat, who somehow ropes us into parenting a different kid for him, we begin heading to Rustboro City, fighting a lot of trainers along the way, and I'm glad we're getting to see so many more Pokemon than are usually available in Pokemon Emerald, like this Water Dragon Charmander. It's sick. In the Petalburg Woods, we run into a Bug-type Totodile, but we accidentally defeated it. Rip to the dial that could have been. We do have a brief encounter with Team Aqua, but Crow, Tank, and Jeremy are able to carry us, albeit barely. After a quick double battle in our first evolution of the run, we're ready to take on the first gym leader. Roxanne is still a rock-type trainer, but I really have no idea what her Pokemon are going to be. Fighting the gym trainers does give us a good idea of what team members to use though. We'll mostly be relying on Tank the Delibird and Sky the Wingull. I will say though, this Yanma and Beldum design goes so hard. Enough of that though, let's take on Roxanne. We lead with Sky, who uses Bullet Seed, and it should do a lot of damage if this Clefairy wasn't a bug and rock type. That's just unfortunate typing that we couldn't have known about. Our Grassy Gold does manage to just barely beat them off before this rock type Butterfree takes them down. I wanted to save Tank for the harder mon since there are pure water types, so instead I sent out Tech to use some ground moves to take them down. Bone Rush is able to finish off this Butterfree before Roxanne sends in what is clearly a water and rock type Roselia. Not wanting my ground bird to get soaked, I switched into Tank, only to find out this Roselia has Water Absorb. I truly thought I was screwed here, so I sent in Jeremy to be sacrificed and just chip away at their health before we make a risky play and have Tech use Bone Rush, which surprisingly works. Their final Pokemon is still Nosepass, but it seems like a ground type. I planned on sacking Tank the Delibird here because, it's a Delibird and I didn't think we would use them long term, but proving me wrong despite only having 9 health, Tank survives our Rock Tomb only for Nosepass to try and use Dig, so to respect its resiliency, we send out Crow to negate the damage. We then luck out with some god tier flinch luck, which allows us to make a risky play, switching Tank back in to get the win. It's a well-earned victory, but we need to step it up because even though we've already lost 2 Pokemon, we almost wiped out on the first gym. Our first order of business is replenishing our team though, so we quickly catch a Nidoran we named Emika. After a couple more trainers and one adorable poison type Squirtle, we're able to help Mr. Briny rescue Pico by defeating another Team Aqua grunt. After that, a billionaire CEO gives a 10-year-old his phone number, which is questionable, and we hop right into another rival battle, which is fairly easy. Crow takes care of their fighting type Mudkip as usual, Radar ices out their grass electric Pidgey, and takes steps up to defeat both their rock type Trico and what I assume is a psychic type Corsola. But that battle is enough for Radar to finally evolve, now with a cool pair of shades which makes them so cool they're now ice cold. This frees us up so we can head towards Dewford Town with a slight detour as our dad tries to reconnect with us. We're able to catch a normal psychic Volbeat. They should be able to help us take on Brawly's fighting type gym. Meet Nona. Up north, we also take the opportunity to catch a steel ground type Zubat named Ambipie, but they won't be much use for this gym. Unfortunately though, we do fail to catch an electric bike Cyndaquil, meaning we are 0-2 for Johto starters. You know, I should be afraid considering how we almost wiped on our last gym, but half of our team is some sort of bird, so we should be alright. Hold on, this is just gone from Hunter x Hunter. Filled with unearned confidence, we challenge Brawly. We lead with Tech, and despite an Oran Berry and Bulk Up, a lucky critical hit with Peck takes down their first Pokemon. Tech also manages to body their grass-type Makuhita, who sort of just looks like garlic, but that's when we run into a monster. A fighting dragon Tropius. We sent in Tank to try and whittle it down its health with Surf, but they managed to bulk up several times. We have to make some sacrifices here. We sent in Radar to get off an ice attack, but unfortunately it's not enough, and we lose the first Pokemon we ever caught. But Crow should be enough to finish the job. Brawly's final Pokemon is a steel fighting Starmie, so my flying moves won't do any good here. We switch into Emikut just to set up Leech Seed. Rest in peace, my sweet Nidoran. Your sacrifice is necessary. Next up is Nona, who just misses out on getting the KO before they perish, but Leech Seed is enough to finish this beast off. What are we, some sort of suicide squad? Once again, we barely survived the gym, but at the very least, all of our main heavy hitters made it out. And hey, Crow is finally evolving into a Combuskin. I really do love this color scheme on them. We quickly make our way through the cave and all the weird Pokemon here to deliver a package to Steven Stone. We fill the 2 empty slots in our party with Moro, the steel fighting Staryu, and Daryl, the dark psychic Machop, but don't get too attached to them. Off to Slateport City, where we have our next encounter with Team Aqua. Things started off well enough. We were using Moro to defeat their Zubat, but this Voltorb had Magnet Pull, so as a Steel type, we're unable to switch out and we lose another party member. To make matters even worse, we still have to fight Archie and we don't get to heal. Tech takes down their Steel Bug Carvana, only for their next Pokemon to be a goddamn Latios? I mean, I guess it's lower leveled, but I was not prepared to fight a legendary Pokemon this early on. We do a switch roulette and go through almost all of our Pokemon and end up sacking Daryl just so we can get a safe switch into Crow and they can finish them off. The body count slowly grows as we head north towards Mawile City. To fill the empty slots on our team, we add a Ground Steel Zubat and Bitbite and a Ghost Electric Farfetch named Cypher to the party. Also, I'm not going to mention it too much, but I did catch a bug Clefairy and it quickly died to a random trainer, so let's just add 1 to the body count. Fingers crossed these 2 Pokemon last longer. As we head to Mawile City, there's a lot of cute Pokemon we're unable to catch, including the boy, but it does give us a great chance to warm up the new party members. Enough for Shoku to finally learn how to put on a hat. In preparation for Watson's Electric Gym though, we do box Tank since they won't be much help, and add Frost, the Grass Psychic Seal, to the party. We do get a chance to cut Wally down to size, but his Psychic Teddiursa, Steel-type Chansey, and Bug-type Dratini all fall to Tech, and to take down his Kirlia, we just sort of send in Cypher. For humiliating our darling son Wally, Tech is evolving into a Swellow. Perfect timing too, because both them and Ambipie are going to carry us through this gym. I mean, ground types, right? After 1 more evolution for Zubat, we're ready to take on Watson. We lead with Ambipie since a ground and steel type with Levitate resist almost every type Watson can throw at me. Their bug type Kadabra falls as soon as Ambipie decides to finally hit a Steel Wing, and their Steel Electric Parasite goes down to a couple Mud Slaps. Their ice type Manectric gets hit by a Steel Wing and, well, ceases to exist. Damn, who even needs tech? And Bippai is a beast here. There is a little bit of trouble with Watson's flying electric Tauros. This creature just will not go down. We slowly whittle it down its health with a mixture of Supersonic and Sing, but eventually we do need to switch into Cypher to finish it off with a Hyper Voice. Finally, a zero casualty gym, and all thanks to a Zubat. I never thought I'd see the day. As much as I'm thankful to Cypher and his cute little hat, I think Tank is a better fit for the party, and it really rounds out our typing, so we're adding them back to the team. Now we get to make our way north towards Mount Ember. We do get a chance here to catch that badass fighting dragon Tropius, who we name Wolfbite. They're definitely getting added to the team, and right away they're ready to rumble. Having a no evolution Mon with solid stats is a godsend for this Nuzlocke. Now we just need to battle a couple more trainers, catch an archer Scyther we named Kohaku, and prep to fight Team Magma. But I do want to point out this Raticate sprite. It's just sensual in that pose. I don't like it, it's making me feel things. After inserting ourselves into a turf war and failing to catch the most gorgeous Lunatone and Solrock sprites I've ever seen, we ride the cable car up to beef with Team Magma. Team Magma mostly has fire and ground types, so Tank is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I love how Delibird turned out to be one of my main Pokemon, but I guess having speed boost and early access to Surf really helps with that. The other Pokemon we're relying on is Wolfbite. Tropius is already a powerful Pokemon, but giving it both fighting and dragon types makes it an offensive powerhouse. So with these two in our pocket, we challenge Maxie, who leads with a Steel and Dark type Delcatty, but lucky enough we have Wolfbite up front, so a single Rock Smash destroys most of their HP, but I don't want to fall asleep with Yawn, so we switch into Tank to finish them off. Next up is an Electric Fire Tentacool, but just a little bit of Pocket Sand from Tech should actually destroy them. Tech follows through, taking out their Bayleaf of questionable typing. I truly have no idea what type this is. And all that's left is a Team Magma Latias, which Wolfbite is able to literally stomp. Get it? Like the Pokemon move. We've been playing so well lately that the game decides to reward us with the cutest little feel in the world. How do you improve a Pokemon that's already perfect? Meet Strawberry, and while they're adorable, I never want to use them in a run because if they die, I will break. I just kind of wanted a chance to show off this design because it's really cute. I do want to change our team around for Flannery's Fire-type gym. Obviously, I'm boxing Frosk, mostly because they're a Grass type, but also they haven't really done anything. We're also dropping in Bitbye, but just for a little bit. They're a Steel type, which isn't really going to help us. Instead, we're adding Kohaku, the Scyther Archer, because they're a strong ground type, as well as Dippin' Dots the Goldeen, who is a Rock and Poison type, who should be good fodder. For the actual gym battle against Flannery, though, we're going to be relying on Tank the Delibird. With Water Spout being a really amazing move on a fast Pokemon, Fire-type Victory Bell and a Ground-type Raichu fall almost immediately to Tank the Delibird. But considering this Torkoal has literal lightning on his back, I'm getting Tank the hell out of here. I send Dippin' Dots out fully intending to sack them because I don't really care about them, but surprisingly they come out on top. I'm calling it, Dippin' Dots gets to live. No, we reward good behavior around here. So Wolfbite comes out instead to Rock Smash this Dark Fire Jinx and Dragon Claw the Firebug Donphan to earn us our next gym badge. Almost right away though, it's time for gym number 6 with Daddy. But while we're retiring Dippin' Dots so they can live out their days in peace, we need a new party member in. What's this rumbling in the box? It's time for Shoku to evolve into a ghost normal type Gardevoir. Why did you have to put Gardevoir in a non-outfit? And before you put that comment, behave. Jokes aside though, Ghost and Normal is an amazing typing, and not to mention, Shoku is surprisingly bulky and a straight beast in battle. Usually when I use Gardevoir and Nuzlocke, I have to worry about them getting one shot, but between Shoku's amazing typing and the rest of the powerhouse hitters on our team, we should be fine for this gym. Mr. I'll be back in 5 minutes, I'm just getting cigarettes, leaves with a kabuki looking Sudowoodo. I don't think this thing has the ability to do a lot of damage to us, so instead we bulk up with Wolfbite. It does attempt to counter us though, so we have to buff up enough that we can one-shot it, which we do, as well as this checkered board pattern Lantern. Now we just need to defeat this slacking and Wolfbite? How was I supposed to know this Slacking was a dragon type? I mean, I guess it looks like it, but oh my god, I didn't think Slacking was a very fast Pokemon. That's a big loss. We send out Ambipite to put it to sleep, and I kept trying to confuse it, and I swear I could not hit a Supersonic to save my life. This went on so long that eventually I just gave up on the confusion strats and started Steel Winging until Slacking was dead. Rest in peace, Wolfbite. You were a badass while you were here. Next up was Hitmontop, that I'm sure is a reference to some anime, but for the life of me, I don't know. I was punished for that lack of knowledge by also losing Kohaku. God damn it, I hate my Pokemon dad. We send in Crow to finish them off, as well as their normal type Sandslash, but I am heartbroken over this. At the very least, we get Surf, which means we have access to stronger Pokemon, like this high-level grass and water haunter we named Chris. Next up, we head to Mawile City to prep for Winona, who's going to be our next gym fight. Because we have Surf, we get access to new Mawile just to get a new Pokemon. We end up getting that electric Torkoal from earlier, and it turns out to be an electric dragon type, so we appropriately name them Heaven. On our way to Fortree City, we do battle a bunch of trainers and Pokemon, including a couple Team Aqua grunts, and the experience is enough to evolve Ambipy into a Crobat, get a cast form, a Venomoth? Okay, and then fight our rival. Just like every rival fight, they lead with their fighting type Marshtomp, who easily gets destroyed with a Drill Peck from Crow. Their electric Pidgeotto is a bit scarier, but we send in Heaven to see what they're made of, and a simple body slam squishes the bird. Next up is a rock type Grovyle, who Tank is able to defeat pretty handedly with a Surf. They did add this cute little Blossom to their party, but Shoku's able to take them down with a single Shadow Ball. Next up is a water type Absol, who I was actually kind of afraid of considering they were boosted by the rain. We switch into Ambipy, and they make the decision to switch into Porygon though? Lucky enough, Tech is beefy enough to carry us through the rest of this match, thanks to, double team spamming. Although it was a tough battle, at least now our starter Pokemon Crow is fully evolved. I love this design for a P-Foul Blaziken. Now we're finally in Fortree City, and before we get our next badge, we do have to train up. This is just my excuse to show off this bug-type Wailmer, who is very small, and I think that's really freaking funny, actually. More importantly, though, we do catch a new Pokemon, and it ended up being this gorgeous bug-type Dragonair we named Rakurai. They won't be much help in this gym, but having a pseudo-legendary for later on will not hurt. Speaking of the gym, we need to figure out what our plan is. I think the best course of action is to rely on both Tech and Heaven as our two main electric types, and when in doubt, Tank has Ice Beam. Winona leads with a medieval looking Scizor, and we know from having a Scyther earlier that it's probably a ground type, so we switch Heaven out of there and send in Tank for a 4 times effective Ice Beam to put him down. Next up is this bubbly looking Fortress, but we end up getting a freeze off, sorry to pop your bubble. Tank's final victory comes when we defeat this Medicham statue, but this flying Nidoking is too badass to ignore. It's time to switch into Heaven. We barely finish them off before a burn takes the last bit of our health, and oh my god, Winona, what have you done to Altaria? They were so pure and innocent! To ensure that we put it down for good, we send in Crow to just, beat them up. Another gym badge down and 2 to go. To make room for Rakurai in the team, I think we need to box Tech. They're a good Pokemon, but we just never find a use for them in gyms. We have a better ground type and better electric type. Before we continue our journey of getting all the gym badges, it's time to take care of Plot. First we head off to Mount Pyre, the home of cosplay Gardevoirs, and the cutest ghost Eevee I've ever seen. I wish I could catch one of these cuties. We find out that Team Aqua has stolen the red orb. Spooky! More importantly though, I found a shiny Pokemon. This is a dark and poison type Slowking, and thanks to the shiny claws, we are allowed to catch them. Meet Mimi. They're not the best Pokemon, but we do get hella style points for using them. Now we're in Lily Cove City, where it's time for our final rival fight. That's pretty early. As always, Crow defeats this fighting type Swampert with a couple of Drill Pecks. Heaven body slams his Pidgeot, and now that we have a bug type Rakurai, we can disintegrate this dark and psychic Blossom. The rest is history. Tank defeats Sceptile, Shoku defeats their psychic Porygon, and Crow switches back out to defeat their Absol. Done and done. Go figure, once I know the typing of Pokemon, it becomes a lot easier to beat them. Now it's time to finish off Team Magma for good, so we head back out to Mount Ember, defeating our fair share of grunts, and then it's time for Maxie to learn colors. Does the blue orb go with the red Pokemon? No, that's stupid. And it ends up pissing off Groudon so much that Maxie is going to take their anger out on us. As usual, he leads with his Steel Dark Delcatty, but we have Heaven use a Sun Boosted Sacred Fire to do them in with a burn. Or we would, but I am an idiot. See, I misclicked here. I locked our poor turtle boy into Outrage, leading to them getting KO'd by what appears to be a Dragon-type Meganium. All my plans just went out the window. Heaven was meant to carry us through the next couple Team Aqua fights. Rokurai helps us clean up this Gen 2 trash and destroys their grass ground discount Torterra ass camera up before we make the dangerous switch into Ambitbai, who tanks a flamethrower to defeat their electric fire Tentacruel. We still have Latias though. I know it's a long shot and that Ambitbai has low health, but I know we outspeed, so I take the risk and go for a sing. But our gamble does not work off. Good night, sweet prince, you will be missed. At the very least now, we can safely switch into Tank, who should be able to one-hit KO if it wasn't for Sun weakening our abilities. In the end, Latias survives with just a sliver of health and takes Tank down with them with a double edge. Our team has just been halved. We need to rebuild our party. Our new recruits consist of Mimi, the ground dark Slowbro, who is just as powerful as they are sparkly, Chris, a grass and water type haunter, who should have us covered in the special attacking department, and Mia, a steel dragon type Togetic, who is a literal flying tank of a Pokemon. I am vowing right now, no more casualties until we reach the champion. So now, it's time to beat up Team Aqua. And I'm coming here with a vengeance. First, we raid the Team Aqua base and beat up all their grunts. Sure would have been great to have an electric Pokemon. At the very least though, we have a powerful grass typing Chris who levels up enough to become a Gengar. Correct me if I'm wrong though, but there's supposed to be a goddamn Master Ball right here. All we get is a Dive Ball and a Shuckle in disguise. The base is a bust, so we head to Moss Deep City instead, finding a couple more trainers, and at least that helps us prepare for our 7th gym fight. The puzzle in this gym took me a bit longer than I'd like to admit, but the battles aren't too bad. Between our Bug, Dark, and Ghost types, it isn't much of an issue. Tate and Lisa lead with a Lunatone and Skarmory, but Rakurai and Shoku are just too tanky to take damage. I even came in here under-leveled, but our 3 behemoths just continue to whittle them down with Signal Beam, Beat Up, and Shadow Ball. The only issues we really had was that their Magneton got off a Toxic, so I needed to switch into both Mia and Chris towards the end to deal with a ghostly Vileplume and a very Splatoony looking Omastar. We make a small detour at SpaceX since Team Magma still won't take no for answer, but Steven Stone teams up with us in a double battle to make sure there aren't any casualties. I do want to know what this Jirachi looks like though. Now we dive down to the depths to seek out Team Aqua and finally finish them off. I do like the designs of these fully evolved Kanto starters, but that won't stop us from making Team Aqua feel our wrath. Archie still doesn't understand colors, so it's time to kick some sense into his ass. He leads with a bug-type Sharpedo straight out of my nightmares, but Crow is here to save the day. Next up is a Rock-Water Glalie, and Crow just isn't enough, so we switch into Chris to set up Ingrain and a 4 times effective Leaf Blade. In the end, we only survive thanks to a crit, but here's where I made another mistake. Next up is their clearly Bug-type Aggron, so it's time to get our Grass-type Chris out of there, but I had used Ingrain, which makes it so that I'm unable to switch out my Pokemon. Chris is trapped with a little over 40 health. So in the end, we must fight. A single Surf manages to take down Aggron, their Steel-type Piloswine, and their Steel Ground Crobat. Oh my god, we actually might make it through this after all. All we need to do is take down their Latios, and the fool decides to Calm Mind so we get 2 Leaf Blades off. And against all odds, Chris sweeps Archie's entire team to survive. Kyogre is so offended at this that they and Groudon decide to level Sootopolis City. Since we're not actually going to see their alternate forms in this run, I'm just going to throw them on screen now, and I think they're pretty neat. Anyways, what we have to actually do is head west and make a quick stop towards the most useless Pokemon city in all of Pokemon Emerald, head up towards the tower and talk to Rayquaza.
Hey, you all, stop fighting.
And like that, the day was saved. I guess Archie and Maxie get to go free. Intentions aside, I'm pretty sure that they're terrorists. Anyway, time to fight Hoenn. You know, that gym leader that did absolutely nothing to stop the city from getting destroyed. They've even changed the gym puzzle, so we also have to avoid Trainer Gazes when trying not to break the ice. So, you know, that's fun. At least Chris is making quick work of all these water types. And hey, Rakurai evolved, so our team is finally ready to take on the champion. Before we think about the future though, let's focus on priority number 1. Get it? You know, I'm not gonna lie, this was the easiest battle yet. Literally, I just sort of spammed Leaf Blade 6 or 7 times with Chris, and before I knew it, we had won. Maybe Juan is a weak gym leader, but I prefer to think that Chris is just ripped out of their goddamn minds. So it's time to head to the Elite Four, but before that, I want to get some more firepower. So we head back to Rayquaza. Yes, they're 10 levels higher to us and a legendary, but why not use it in the Nuzlocke? I believe with our team behind us, we can safely accidentally KO it. Oh well, off to Victory Road. On the way to Victory Road, I run into this weird cave in Evergrande City. I don't remember this in Pokemon Emerald, and when I walk inside, it looks like a clown exploded. I walked towards the back of the room only to find a mysterious pillar, and I was met with a level 1 Jirachi? Alright, guess we're doing this. Luckily, we still had a bunch of Ultra Balls from when I was prepping to catch Rayquaza, and we needed them. I threw so many balls at this level 1 Dragon-type Jirachi that they started to struggle themselves to death before we finally caught them. Meet Echo. For those curious though, the other 3 pillars in this room have an Entei, Suicune, and Raikou that I'm pretty sure are all inspired by Fire Emblem 3 houses. Anyways, it's time to make our way through Victory Road and have our second fight with Wait, we only battle Wally twice in these games? Anyways, he leads with a Psychic type Ursaring, but that's chump change for a Signal Beam from Rakurai. Our Butterfly Dragon also insists that Shoku is the only cosplay Gardevoir allowed in this house, but Rakurai won't do too well against a Flaming Flygon, and that's more of a job for Chris. Wait, Wally also has a Bug-type Dragonite? Dude is ripping off like a third of my team. But this is the perfect chance to test out Echo, our latest party member. It's a close fight, but legendaries will trounce a pseudo-legendary every time. Their final Pokemon is a Steel-type Blissey, but we know how to deal with these. Send in Crow, and with a Sky Uppercut, we put this child back in their place. Wait a second, is this next trainer Roxanne? As a surprise, at the final stretch of this game, every trainer in Victory Road has been replaced with the various gym leaders and Frontier Brains. It's a fun way to rebattle these teams and gain some extra levels before the end. Overall though, it makes me sweat bullets thinking that we're about to lose a Pokemon. Nonetheless though, we make it through without any casualties, and it's time for the Elite Four. Let's do this. First up is Sydney. He's a dark type trainer, so we lead with Rakurai, who easily destroys his Executor with a single Signal Beam. Next up though is another one of these damn fire electric tentacruels, so we send in Mimi to use an Earthquake and put them to rest. Next up is their water type Absol, and damn it, I thought this was supposed to be a dark type trainer. What are these things? We put them down though, and without any more fire or flying moves, I feel safe enough to switch Rakurai back in and sweep the rest of his team, including a pedophilic anime Hitmonlee, a dark psychic Machamp, and finally a dark type Venusaur. 1 down, 4 to go. Next up is Phoebe with her ghost types. Our plan was to lead with Shoku since they're a ghost normal type, but it ends up being a double battle and they lead with an Espeon and Umbreon. I haven't run into any evolutions, so I'm really in the dark about all of their typings. So I just sort of Shadow Ball, and that seems to be working. I think Phoebe's whole team in this is just evolutions and a single Dusclops, which is really sick to have. There is a single point though where Shoku almost goes down to poison against a Vaporeon of all things. Gardevoir versus Vaporeon. I'm sure some freaks out there are very excited. So we just switch into Echo and they help take care of the rest of the battle with a little help from Crow. Next up is Glacia and her ice types. Shoku is able to handle Manectric with a single Shadow Ball, and Huntail takes 2. Since I want to save PP for the end, we begin using Hyper Voice on her Gorobis, but when Blastoise comes out, I want to play it safe. So we switch into Rakurai, who Meteor Mashes the big old turtle. Hey, look at that, it's the inferior form of Spheal. And while I say that though, this beast whittles down Crow and Mimi before Echo is finally able to put them to sleep for good. Damn, maybe I should have used Strawberry. Glacia's final Pokemon is a Psychic Grass type Dugong, but one Signal Beam gets us the win in the end. And this is where I ran into an issue. You see, I have a confession. I'm very stupid. And while I bought a lot of Hyper Potions, I may have neglected to buy anything to heal status effects. So we're gonna have to finish the rest of the Elite Four and Champion with both Mimi and Crow being poisoned. Fun. Anyway, let's fight Drake the Dragon Master. It's once again Rakurai's time to shine. A single Ice Beam is enough to stop their Arcanine in their tracks, put their Torkoal shell up, but this pincer gave me a bad feeling, so we decided to switch into Chris. And then realized that that was a terrible idea, so instead we switch into Echo to finish them off. We're running out of PP, so to fight this fiery Aerodactyl, we send in Shoku, who is by far one of the MVPs of this run, taking several hits, and finishing them off with a Hyper Voice. Next up is Charizard. To save what remaining moves we have left, we switch back into Rakurai, who Signal Beams both them and the following Grass-type Salamence. Now all that's left is the champion, Wallace, and we have a full team of 6 behind us. He leads with a Metagross, and we lead in with Chris. It's clear that this is a rock type, so a single Water Pulse gets the job done. Chris may be a latecomer to this run, but now they are absolutely vital to our team. Except Wallace's next Pokemon is a goddamn Regice. I assume that this is a flying type, so I want to get Chris out of there and send in Echo. I know that they won't live through this battle, but it's important that I at least get a yawn off so that Shoku can finish them off. Next up is Wallace's Milotic, and I truly have absolutely no clue what typing this is. So I think using a powerful normal move like Hyper Voice seems like the best option, and we barely survive. But Shoku must perish against this Steel Water Electrode so that we can safely switch Chris back in. They're powerful enough to one-shot the Electrode, but then the sun comes out with a Magma-type Regirock. It's enough that our Gengar's Water Pulse won't get the Oko, and instead they fall. Mimi is the one though to come out and finish the Magma monster off with an Earthquake. And now, there's only one Sand-style Registeel left. And who better than Rakurai, our only non-poisoned dragon member, to come in and finish off the day with an Ice Beam. We had won. I have finished Pokemon Ephemerald, and what a journey it was. If you want to experience this game for yourself, please check the description down below. I've included a download link, and while you're there, subscribe and like the video. Let me know if you want more challenge videos like this with fun and weird ROM hacks. I had a ton of fun making it, and have a nice damn rest of y'all's day.